Today on Locked On Rockies, let's talk Rocktober.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 19th day of September in the year 2022. I am your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every single day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, well, guess what, folks? You are in the right spot. We got a great show for you today. We are going with I wanted to do something fun. I wanted to do something pretty interesting and pretty different today. As over the weekend, I saw a big milestone, a big moment in Rockies history. A big anniversary of that was coming up. So I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to dive into that. And also, of course, wanted to look at the Rockies, what is ahead for the Rockies here as we look ahead to the final homestand of the year. Yeah, so I wanted to paint a picture for you guys here. I want to paint a picture of the imagine this, right? It's September. The Rockies are looking at it. They can make a run. Everything has to go right, but they have a team that's playing good baseball at the right time. They are playing against some, they are matching up with favorably to get them into the playoffs. And it's come down to, it's all started with 2 games and 2 wins against the dreaded Dodgers. And then another third game on the line with the Dodgers there. The Dodgers awaiting and on the bump in the 9th inning at the end of a game where the Rockies are finding themselves in a dire stretch. It is Takashi Saito, who the Rockies at this point in the year, this is 2007. This is the 2007 season. The Rockies were 0 for 14 against Saito, the closer for the Dodgers. Absolutely lights out dominant. 2 outs. He gets too low to strike out, and I believe it is, I can't really tell. It's not Jamie Carroll. I'm trying to go and see who it is. The bullet shot for the Rockies. It's not Jamie Carroll. I'm trying to remember. Is it No, I can't pick up. Spilly? It might be Spilly. No. Anyway, I'm getting too caught up in the details. The Rockies get 2 quick outs. The should have been MVP, Matt Holliday, comes up, rifles the single into right field. And then stepping to the plate, the biggest name in Colorado Rockies history outside of Larry Walker, a player that has wanted to get to the playoffs, that has deserved to get to the playoffs, that has been an absolutely incredible, an absolute dominant force for the Colorado Rockies, steps up to the plate. Here's a fact for you. Todd Helton, going into that at-bat, was 0 for 4 in that at-bat. Again, going up against a pitcher that before Matt Holliday's single into right was 0 for 14. Actually, so I think 0 for 16 at that point. They were then 1 for 17 with, or 1 for 16, 1 in 16 against Saito after Holliday. And then Todd Helton comes up. And here was a crazy stat. Todd Helton in 2007, according to the broadcast there, had more home runs against the Dodgers than any other team in the National League. It's just kind of crazy to think about that now. Thinking about a player like Todd Helton having such a dominant grip over the Rockies. It seems like it's kind of the opposite, or a player for the Rockies having a dominant control over the Dodgers. It seems like we've now gone through such a long cycle, and even then too, of Dodgers players that have just absolutely dominated the Dodgers or the Rockies. But Todd Helton was the exception. Todd Helton was so, and this is why you love Todd Helton, a vintage at bat, fights off some pitches, gets the pitch after he fought one off in there, And with 2 strikes, with the Rockies with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, with their season and their run on the line, Todd Helton just rockets one into right field, and it kicks off the greatest. I mean, even I don't know. I mean, a World Series win for the Rockies will obviously be better, but Rocktober is such an incredible sports moment. It's such an incredible feat that the Rockies did to get to where they were at, and honestly, outperforming all of their expectations, dominating teams, beating the best in the business, sweeping their way to the World Series, winning 11 games to get into the postseason, 11 of 12 games or 20 of 21. The Rockies and Rocktober is a story that isn't celebrated nearly enough. What Todd Helton did there, I mean, that is sports. 0 for 14 going into that. Matt Holliday gets on, and the face of your franchise, the big name, the stalwart, the guy that has committed to playing to, I know at that point things were still up in the air, and Todd Helton's career still went on much further than that, but the guy that was Mr. Rocky and would go on into being the most popular and the most famous Rockies player of all time outside, at that point, outside of Larry Walker, hits a home run, a walk-off home run on a vintage Todd Helton at bat. Rocktober is something that should be celebrated in baseball. It's something that Rockies fans should talk. It's something that should be talked about more. How there's not a documentary or a big thing that dives into this. I know there's a bunch of coverage. I know there's a bunch of stuff about Rocktober, but Rocktober should be something that baseball fans know about. What the Rockies did to get there, and yes, the World Series was disappointing, but even to get there, all the hate, all the stuff they dealt with, they swept away the Phillies, swept away the Diamondbacks, fought tooth and nail, and made an incredible stretch for a team that outperformed every expectation, that had all of the doubt and all of the stuff of Coors Field. Rocktober was awesome. Of course, a World Series win would have been even better. But the story of Rocktober, starting with that at-bat from Todd Helton, which was now about 25 years ago. 25 years ago now for Rocktober. If I don't think my math is 2007. Is it 15? I think 15 years ago. My apologies. 15 years ago. That's not 25. 15 years ago. Did I put 25 in? Yeah, I got to change my little thing there as well. But my math, I'm a podcast host, not a math guy. You know, that's not what I do. Anyway, I just, it's such an incredible moment. It's it's something that I know we as Rockies fans celebrate, but that home run from Todd Helton just sets the table, sets the tone for what what Rockies baseball is and can be. And you've seen it, and we'll dive into more a little bit about that when we're kind of hoping to recapture that. But man, that moment, if you folks, you gotta, I mean, it is just, the call is great. You know, it's a great call by Goodman there. High drive, deep right field. Take a good look. You don't see it for long. I mean, it's a massive shot. Todd Helton, the emotions. I mean, the guy never shows emotions. Didn't do anything, and he's just the hand in the air, rocking out. Matt Holliday is jumping on the bases. A Rockies World Series will be fun and great, but it will be hard for Rocktober to ever be beat. I mean, classes, we would watch. I would watch the Rockies in class. We'd get to go and see that everyone was talking about the Colorado Rockies, and man, I can't wait till that happens again. And we'll talk about a little bit more about the importance of that home run and Rocktober here in just a moment. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends at Bet Online. Bet Online is the place that you need to go if you want to get in on all the sports betting action, pro football, college football, anything you need. Of course, Major League Baseball. You know, if you want to get in on all the live games, if you want to hop in on with the Rockies betting, you can jump in with the live game bets. You can see all the stuff that's going on at betonline.net. BetOnline.net is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including, like I said, the live betting. You can even get in on the esports and scores, and it's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including baseball, boxing, MMA, golf, And guess what? They got the website, they got the you can even access it on your mobile device, and you're going to know all about the trends and action. It's your number one source for all your pro and college football betting needs and sports info this season at betonline.net. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. We're talking about Todd Helton's legendary home run in September of 2007 and why I love Rocktober. One of the things that resonates with me about the most about Rocktober is I'm glad that when the Rockies make playoff runs, Rocktober is the thing. The spirit of Rocktober should always be embraced because it kind of always feels that way. At least at this point in the Rockies' history, the Rockies not a lot of times have been a dominant favorite to win their division. Very rarely have they even been picked to win their division. They haven't won the division. So for the Rockies to kind of always capture and embrace kind of the spirit of Rocktober when they do have their playoff runs, I do enjoy. But it's a reminder. And Helton's home run shows you, but there's a multitude of other events that you can point to for Rockies fans. Rockies, there are lots of really passionate Rockies fans out there that love when this team is playing baseball, meaningful baseball down the stretch. Everyone wants to say that about their team. I know that, but there are real, true, honest to goodness Rockies fans out there that have seen some good teams and great players come through this organization that haven't been handled and have had things squashed. It's so important to have good winning baseball in Colorado because it's a place that can be a unique environment. Every single other area of sports has all this other stuff to deal with when it comes with playing at altitude. But people even say that baseball shouldn't be played here. Rocktober, the spirit of Rocktober, the spirit of the Colorado Rockies should be weird. It should be unique. It should be funky. It should be they play the unique Colorado Rockies brand of baseball, the exact style of baseball that helped propel them into the hunt in 2007 and all the way to the World Series. Everyone has passionate fans, especially when the team is playing well in the second half and late in the seasons, of course. But the Rockies have passionate fans all the time, and it brings out the true passion of people when they can actually start diving in and seeing what works. If the Rockies can create a winning formula of baseball in Colorado, it's going to create one of the most dedicated and diehard baseball fan bases in the entire country. If the Rockies can create their own identity, their own style of ball that it completely is unique to the Colorado Rockies experience, whatever that is, it's going to lead to one of the most passionate fan bases in the game. You're going to see the Rockies be talked about more on a larger level, on a scale that people have to pay attention to the Rockies because not only are they good, but people want to focus on them. People want to focus on that product. People want to focus on the entertainment value and the brand and the identity of the Colorado Rockies. Rocktober is just one example of multiple of the way the Rockies right now in the history books and the way that the Rockies are perceived are slept on. We have to fight tooth and nail to get any Rockies player into the Hall of Fame. But can we please end the narrative now of people that can't do anything or they're only good at Coors Field when you got an almost MVP candidate and probably should be an MVP if his teammate wasn't having as good a season over in St. Louis? Or the fact that the Rockies have a bona fide, certified, you can throw the numbers, they do adjustments, they change it, a Hall of Famer, and it should be two. Good winning baseball is so important to help shape and change the narrative of baseball at altitude. And Rocktober was such a good first start there. I mean, it was obviously the Blake Street Bombers and things of there. They did a great job of bringing the game of the major league game. Of course, the Denver Bears and more before them. I know that there's been more professional baseball, but the Major League Baseball, they did a great job of showing the altitude, showing the home runs, showing the fun, showing the uniqueness of playing baseball where they do. Rocktober showed a little bit more pieces with some good pitching elements as well as some offense, some interesting pieces. And then the playoff teams showed that they could keep it with the Dodgers, that they developed some great talent, that they found smart people, and they might have a rotation to build around. hopefully now, the next iteration of competitive winning Rockies baseball puts it all together, and it's something that embraces the identity and the spirit of Rockies baseball, but especially Rocktober, because that is just fun, real deal, awesome baseball. Baseball that matters, baseball that's fun, baseball that every pitch you're gripped to watching to. That's what we need to bring back to Colorado. One day it'll come back. One day soon, that's a different story. We'll see. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about the present. Let's dive into what is going on now for the Colorado Rockies, and also take a little look at the weekend. Talk a little bit about the Rockies road trip there before we also dive into the final homestand of the year. But before we do that, here's this. Rockies, nice little trip to Chicago. Split the series with the White Sox. Take the series from the Cubs there. Play a bunch of tight ball games. Again, not something that the Rockies don't go out and score a ton of runs on the road at all. But for the Rockies to go out on the road and win 3 out of 5 ball games played is not too bad, especially when they come back and come alive. It was really great to see for the Rockies yesterday. The ability to come out and score runs early. It's so important, and you hear it on the broadcast all the time how important it is to be to score the first runs of the game, to score early, to score often, and we saw that it mattered there. The Rockies jumping out ahead they were able to stay in enough control, even though things got rocky there towards the end with the long balls. The Rockies were able to stay in enough control and get themselves a nice series win there. And I think I was reading on Twitter, it's like the team's 3rd series win on the road this year. And that's something we'll be talking about all throughout the offseason and digesting here as well, with the poor performance on the road. But again, just a nice win for the Rockies. And I'd say one of my biggest surprise, nice takeaways from yesterday was Connor Joe getting that home run. Good to see good performance from him, and good to see him in the lineup again, because it's going to be interesting to see what the Rockies do with Connor Joe in the lineup and really what to do with their outfield. That'll be a big talk of the offseason, just like it was last year. Brian McMahon, some wonderful defensive plays, really great. Charlie Blackmon continuing to swing the bat pretty well. Nice performance there of gobbling up some runs for Blackmon there. He did have a run or a hit there in the Saturday game, and I believe he was got a couple of hits there in yesterday's game for the Rockies. And so, yeah, good for him. Unfortunately, the Rockies did lose Brendan Rodgers in that game, but it sounds like it just might be some tightness, a couple of days off. It's the end of the season too, as well. If you're Rodgers, let's not aggravate anything. Let's not do any big damage. I think it was smart to just take him out. And hey, Eleris Montero got more at bats. We always will take more Montero at bats. And again, like I said, the Rockies scoring only in the first 2 innings. Bummer about that. But again, 3 runs in the first inning was welcome to see. And of course, lots of the team was able to draw some walks, especially early. The Cubs pitcher there was all over the place. Assad there with 4 walks there. He only made it the 2 innings as well, giving up all 4 of the runs. But the Cubs bullpen was able to come in and be really lights out. The big issue from yesterday, as we've talked about multiple times throughout this year, is the team strikes out way too much. And I mean, holy smokes, it must have been, there was something at the ballpark yesterday or whatever, where they were just striking out Rockies batters left and right. The Rockies struck out 14 times yesterday. They also walked a total of 7 times. So, I mean, you'll take that. But holy cow, 14 strikeouts on the road is just, unfortunately, feels like the norm for the Rockies, and it's a good thing they got the damage done when they did. They really were going to be an issue there with striking out and not really getting much done there throughout the rest of that one. The Rockies, however, should be seeing a bump in the offense as they head to the final homestand of the season. It's a trip. Only 6 chances left to see the Rockies this year. 7 chances You got your last week here to check out the Rockies at Coors Field if you want to go and check out the team. Oh, no. Yeah, it is 7. Okay. Seven games here against the Giants and the Padres. Nothing really going to do it with the Giants, and in this one, you can inch closer. You can help the Diamondbacks jump ahead of the Giants. You technically could get yourself in a position to avoid being in 5th place in the NL West. The Rockies are currently 4 games behind the Diamondbacks and 5 games behind the Giants. So a winning series does help you get closer to the Giants in the win column there, as well as helps the Diamondbacks avoid being the bottom there. But the Rockies still looking pretty destined for the bottom of the NL West this year. But again, that's what you can do. If you're winning series against the Giants helps that, especially when you see the Giants again in San Francisco. Following that, lots of Giants, lots of Dodgers here towards the end of the year. Of course, as well, going in for the big stuff when it comes to the Rockies this homestand is going to be how they can shake up the Padres yet again and be a thorn in their side. The Padres are good chance that they will make it in, but it's very much a fight for that NL wild card right now. So they are not excited about coming to Coors Field. I'm sure they are not excited about playing the Rockies at home. But they are currently have that second wild card spot, but they only are a game above Philly in that. Milwaukee's only a couple of games away there as well. So a losing series for San Diego could put with Milwaukee winning could easily be something that is an issue for the Padres. So if you are the Rockies, of course, you would love to continue to make headaches for San Diego. So that's kind of looking ahead there in terms of the games and things of that nature. On the matchup tonight, let's take a look here who is on the bump for the Rockies. Let's take a look. Who is on the bump for the Rockies today? Went to the wrong website. Here's my website that I want to go here to. Chad Kuhl on the bump here for the Rockies, taking up Jacob Junis there for the Giants. 4-6 record for Junis this year. 4.15 ERA, a whip of 120, 97 innings pitched, 96 hits, 85 Ks, 21 strikeouts, 21 walks to 85 strikeouts and 13 home runs. Seems kind of similar. Like, got some stuff there that kind of some similarities there with Kuhl. But again, Kuhl 6-9 this year, 5.33 ERA, 123 innings pitched with a whip of 1.50. 97 strikeouts to 52 walks and 23 home runs. Got to see the home runs down. Can't be letting the Giants get out ahead early. But as always, really with any divisional matchup against the Rockies at Coors Field, expect some fireworks tonight. We'll be breaking it all down. We'll be looking at all the good stuff with the Rockies and the Giants throughout the week. We'll be talking about it here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. So make sure that you subscribe to Locked On Rockies on YouTube so that you know when we are recording live, and you can get your questions answered live here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. You can also follow the show at LO Rockies. You can follow me, Paul Holden, at Paul Holden 33. And folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you all so much for listening. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. Sully's going to keep you informed with all things Major League Baseball, past, present, and future. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with all things Colorado sports, and boy, is it a busy time in Colorado sports, you got the Locked On Broncos, you got the Locked On Nuggets, and you got the Locked On Avalanche podcasts all ready for you to go check out. What are those Broncos going to do? Hey, win's a win, though. We'll take that, huh? Anyway, folks, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On